Welcome to Shadowed Tales Archive, a place where forgotten stories breathe again, where whispers crawl from the cracks of reality, and fear finds a voice. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and listen closely, because some tales were never meant to be told. Tonight's story is titled The Whisper Market. Let the shadows speak.
Part 1. The Ones Who Watch. I've always known how to read people. Not in the way therapists do. Not like those soft-eyed, notebook-hugging types who nod sympathetically and ask you how your mother made you feel. No. I read people like a locksmith reads tumblers. Every nervous twitch, every offhand laugh, every twitchy glance. Each one a tooth on the gear of the human psyche, just waiting for the right key to click into place. And once it does, they open. But I didn't start this way. When I was 8, I thought people were puzzles. By 12, I realized they were vending machines. You just had to know the right buttons to push. I was 16 the first time someone cried in front of me because I told them exactly what they'd been trying to hide. That's when the voices started whispering. Not in the way you're probably thinking. Not voices in my head. More like suggestions. Heat. Warmth. A kind of velvet presence that slithered around my bones and told me what to say, how to say it. At first, I thought it was instinct. Then I realized something was watching me, guiding me. My father was an ex-preacher turned insurance broker, which is to say, a man of God who sold fear for commission. He wasn't violent, just cold, clinical. He once told me, "Tyler, you don't sell the safety. You sell the terror of not having it." Every dinner was a sermon. Not about morality, about power. About how people beg to be controlled. Make them think they have a choice but only give them the illusion. That's real persuasion. Mom left when I was 10. Never explained why. She just packed a bag and vanished into the dark, leaving behind only a single note I wasn't allowed to read. Father burned it in the fireplace while I watched. That night, I heard the whispers for the first time. They came when I stood alone in my room, staring into the static of my old tube TV. The air shifted. The temperature climbed. I remember thinking, why does it feel like summer in December? And then, like a sigh against my ear, it came. "We see you, Tyler. You're almost ready." I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was afraid, because I wasn't. I got good at getting what I wanted. Teachers gave me second chances I didn't deserve. Girls forgave me for things I shouldn't have done. Adults handed over their trust like wrapped gifts. And every time the warmth returned, it didn't feel evil. Not then. Felt earned. I graduated early. Tried college, dropped out. Too slow. Too structured. I wanted something more visceral. More immediate. Sales was the obvious path. I could talk my way into anything. Jobs, cars, leases. I didn't even need a resume. Just a conversation. But something changed when I joined Arkin Realty. I remember the first time I walked into the office. It felt like stepping into a different layer of the world. The lights were just a little too dim. The windows didn't reflect properly. There was a faint smell of lavender and static in the air, and the warmth returned. But this time, it wasn't subtle. They introduced themselves that night in the stairwell as I was heading out late. I heard the voice again, louder now. "You've brought us to the place where deals are made in whispers. Welcome to the market." I froze. My breath fogged even though it was 78 degrees. Every life has value. Every soul has weight. We can help you measure them, shape them, steer them. But we don't give gifts, Tyler. Only trades. I should have run. I should have told someone. But I didn't. Because deep down, I wanted to see what I could become. And they, whoever they were, promised I wouldn't just rise. I'd soar. That was the first night I dreamt of the Red Room. It always begins the same. I stand in a white suit in front of a podium, and the crowd beneath me has no faces, just masks, paper white with slits for eyes. And I speak words I don't remember learning. And they listen. They always listen. When I wake, I can feel my blood pulsing with something that's not mine. Like someone else is coiled inside me, ready to step forward if I ever flinch. I've learned to smile more since then. People trust smiles. They never realize the thing behind mine is sharpening its teeth. Part 2, Below the Floors. The day after the stairwell incident, the world looked sharper. Colors were brighter, edges cleaner, people slower. Like I had skipped ahead somehow, fast-forwarded to a new level while everyone else was still stuck buffering. I remember sitting in the break room, staring at the clock. The second hand twitched forward, then paused like it knew I was watching. "Your time has begun," the whisper said. It didn't need volume. It filled the room like heat off asphalt, subtle but suffocating. I sold my first house that week. A crumbling Victorian on Belmont Street that had sat on the listing board for 18 months. The clients were a quiet couple, Ben and Marianne Little. Newlyweds with baby fever and dreams bigger than their budget. The house was a wreck. Water damage, mold, a crawl space that made grown inspectors shiver. I should have told them to walk away. I tried to, but the voice spoke through me. I remember opening my mouth and someone else's words came out. "This house is waiting for you, knows you. It's been dreaming of you." Marianne wept on the porch after signing. Ben shook my hand for a full minute, eyes wide like I'd saved them. I didn't remember the pitch. Not really, just flickers. The warmth coiling up my spine. The way my shadow seemed to move half a second too late. The sensation of falling upward. Afterward, I vomited in the company bathroom. The mirror warped my reflection. My teeth looked too many. That night, I woke up under my bed. Not on it, under it. Face pressed to the floorboards. Cheek against the cold wood. Arms limp like something had folded me in half. And the whisper said, "Now you're learning to sleep with us." Sleep changed after that. To stop being rest and became something else. Descent. I didn't dream. I plummeted. Every night I slipped between atoms, between walls, between seconds. I remember one night especially, early January. I was dozing on my couch after a showing when I felt it start. That heat. That velvet presence. I didn't fight it anymore. I slid through the cushions, past the springs, into the crawl space, deeper than the house should have gone. The further I sank, the warmer I became. And then I heard them. Not the voice, the others, hundreds, thousands, whispering in overlapping murmurs. Each one a seller, a closer, a broker of dreams and lies. Like me, but older, deeper. Welcome to the market. The next morning, I woke up in my kitchen, barefoot, holding a Polaroid of a house I didn't recognize. The back had an address scrawled in red ink. Carver Lane, Thursday, sunset. Be convincing. I showed up. Of course I did. The house on Carver Lane didn't exist on Google Maps, or Zillow, or even city records. But there it stood. 3 stories tall, pitch-black shutters, and not a single bird dared perch on the roof. The grass didn't move in the breeze. The front door opened by itself. Inside, the air was warm. Too warm. Like breath. I stepped over the threshold, and every board I touched hummed like a throat clearing. "Do not lie in this house," the whisper warned. "Here, truth feeds us more." The client arrived 15 minutes later. A man in a charcoal suit with no briefcase. His tie was tucked into his shirt like a secret. His eyes didn't blink. "Is this the Carver property?" he asked. I smiled. "You tell me." He grinned. Not with humor, like a coin flipping in midair. He handed me an envelope. Inside, a contract and signed. Already dated, already priced. But no buyer name. Just by entering this agreement, you invite the market to stay. I looked up. He was gone. The house groaned behind me like a stomach digesting. I didn't sleep that night. I tried, but the bed rejected me. Literally, the mattress went ice cold. My pillow buzzed like a live wire. I curled up on the hardwood floor, forehead pressed to the boards, and finally felt the warmth return. You're doing well, Tyler. You're making space. My sales skyrocketed. My voice changed. People listened more, stared more, smiled even when I didn't say anything funny. And every night I sank, further, longer. The rooms in the dark grew stranger. Sometimes I saw mirrors showing reflections that weren't mine. Sometimes I passed people with stitched mouths who wept soundlessly. And always I saw the red room, the crowd with no faces, the podium, the words I couldn't remember. Until one night I did. Give freely of your name. It has served its purpose. Trade your shadow. It belongs to us now. Sleep beneath the seams of the world. The market will keep you warm. I said the words aloud, kneeling on the floor of my bedroom. I didn't question them. That was the night my reflection stopped copying me. Part 3. The Mirror Broker. There's something no one tells you about power. The more you use it, the less you remember who you were before it. I used to have habits. A morning coffee, always black. A playlist for my drive to work. Favorite socks. A preferred seat in the office conference room. Now, I blink and it's noon. I sign deals I don't recall scheduling. I catch glimpses of myself in windows and feel like I'm seeing someone I haven't met yet. The office calls me the closer now. They laugh when they say it like it's a badge of honor. But I hear something else in their tone, hesitation. They smile, sure, but none of them stand too close. Lana, our receptionist, avoids eye contact. Mr. Brody, the regional manager, double-checks everything I touch. One time, I reached across the front desk to grab the morning listings and caught Lana's wrist by accident. She jerked away like I'd burned her. I'm sorry, I said. She just stared at me. Not in fear. Not exactly. In recognition. As if something in me reminded her of a dream she was trying to forget. That same afternoon, a new listing dropped on my desk. No address. No client. Just a note. This one remembers. Use caution. I arrived at sunset. The house was modest. Brick siding. Gabled roof. Blue door with a chipped corner. Not cursed looking. Not abandoned. It looked normal. Too normal. The kind of place that goes unnoticed for decades. The kind that people drive by 100 times and forget immediately. The client answered on the third knock. She was in her 40s. Thin. Tired eyes. Her name was Madeline Rusk. Do I know you? She asked. Something in her tone gave me pause. Like she already had known me, before the suit, before the whispers, before the market ever marked me. Not officially, I said. I'm here about the property. I didn't list anything, she replied. Not yet. The air changed. The temperature didn't drop. But the walls tightened like the house was inhaling. Proceed carefully, the voice murmured. This house is awake. We sat in her kitchen. The smell of thyme and lemon lingered in the air. The stove was still warm. I dream of you, she said suddenly. I froze. In my dreams you're not whole, she continued. You stand behind a window and your skin flickers like a broken reel. You whisper things I can't remember when I wake, but I always feel warmer, like I've been touched by something that doesn't have hands. I didn't respond. I couldn't. The warmth was boiling now, rolling up from my spine into my skull. She reached under the table and pulled out a mirror. Small, round, cracked across the middle. She slid it across the wood. "Look," she whispered. I did, and my reflection blinked twice, once for me, once for itself. The man in the mirror wore my skin, but the smile was wrong. Wider, hungrier, like it knew the shape of my teeth and found it amusing. "Who are you?" I asked, but the words didn't pass my lips. They rang in my bones. The reflection answered, "We are the broker of echoes, the seller of selves. The market is not a place. It's a mirror house, and you are one of its doors." I dropped the mirror. It didn't shatter. Madeline didn't flinch. "You brought them here," she said, "but it's not too late." She reached across the table and touched my wrist. Her fingers were cold, colder than the market had ever been, and the warmth recoiled. For the first time in weeks, I heard my own thoughts. Raw, unguarded, fragile. I'm slipping, I realized. I'm being overwritten. Madeline stood. "You have to make a choice, Tyler. Before they finish building the hallway through your head. Before your shadow learns to speak." Her words didn't make sense, but her eyes did. They were terrified and kind. And behind her, the walls began to peel. Literally, paint curling off in long ribbons. Beneath, something shimmered like black oil. I ran. I didn't remember deciding to. I just blinked and I was outside, gasping, sweating, knees in the dirt, and the whisper, angry now, throbbed inside my skull. "She is not for you. She is off market. Return to the fold. There is warmth waiting." But I didn't go back. That night, I slept on the floor of my bathroom, clutching a box of rock salt and staring into the shower drain, waiting for hands. In the days that followed, the world got thinner. I'd step through a door and find myself in a room that didn't exist. Walls would vanish for a second, showing rows of flickering lights like eyes lining the dark. The market was waking up around me. Every mirror, every polished window, every surface became a screen, showing things I wasn't ready to see. Lana stopped showing up for work. Mr. Brody left a resignation letter scribbled in crayon. Someone filled my desk drawer with molted feathers soaked in perfume and sweat. The note on top just read, "Do not let Madeline speak again." That night I went back to her house, but it was gone. No rubble, no neighbors, no lot, just an empty field with sun-bleached grass and a lone wooden sign, "For sale by owner," and beneath it, carved by hand, "No return." Part 4. Rooms without doors. There are no clocks in the market. Time isn't a river here, it's a hallway, and lately I've been walking it backward. Since the field where Madeline's house used to be, something has fractured. Not just inside me, outside too. My apartment no longer has a fourth wall. I mean that literally. Every night at 3:33 a.m., the east wall disappears, and behind it is something that breathes. Something vast. What? With teeth like wind chimes. The floorboards groan with voices that aren't mine. The shower plays back my conversations, out of order. Sometimes I scream into my pillow, not out of fear, but because I want to hear my own voice again. But they always find me first. "You've broken protocol," the whisper said last night. "You've let the product speak." I stopped working, stopped showing up at Arkin Realty altogether. No one called, no one checked in. I think they're gone, or worse, processed. I went back to the Delphi building, the first place they ever spoke to me clearly. The stairwell was darker than I remembered. Dust hung in the air like smoke. The walls were damp, and every step I took echoed as if the building were hollowed out. But the warmth was waiting. "Welcome home, broker." My knees buckled. I fell against the railing and vomited bile and feathers. A door opened at the top of the stairs. One I swear hadn't been there before. Behind it, a hallway with no lights, just shapes. pale ones, moving with a rhythm that didn't match my heartbeat. I stepped inside. The door shut behind me with a whisper-soft click. No escape. The hallway stretched forever, lined with paintings, each one a scene I vaguely remembered. A handshake, a closed deal, a woman weeping in a sunroom, a man signing a deed with trembling hands. Each painting had a title beneath it: trade completed, product acquired, warmth delivered. The last painting stopped me cold. It showed me naked, kneeling, head bowed, inside a ring of mirrors. No title, just an inscription scratched into the glass: "We do not forget our doors." Something moved behind the frames. I ran. My feet pounded against the carpetless floor, echoing like gunshots. But the hallway didn't end. It looped, until finally I saw her. Madeline, standing at the end of the corridor holding the cracked mirror. But this time, it wasn't cracked, and she wasn't alone. A little girl stood beside her, barefoot, holding a key in one hand and a black feather in the other. Her eyes were stitched shut, but I felt her stare like a spotlight. "Tyler," Madeline said. Her voice carried like thunder in a church. "You can still choose." "No," I whispered. "They already chose for me. They only choose for those who stop choosing for themselves." I dropped to my knees. The warmth roared inside me now, furious, molten like lava under skin. "This is your trial, Tyler. You're waiting. Return to your place. Fulfill your purpose." I screamed, not in defiance, in confusion. I didn't know what was me anymore. Where did I end and they begin? Madeline stepped forward. She placed the mirror in my hands. It was warm, too warm. "Look," she said, and I did. I saw a room made of bones and glass. I saw rows of brokers like me, each with a missing shadow, each whispering into phones that weren't connected. I saw the market, alive, breathing, shifting. I saw it learning, feeding, expanding, and I saw my face reflected back, not human, not quite, a broker of echoes, a salesman of thresholds. And I remembered I had signed a contract, not on paper, on belief, on surrender. Then the girl handed me the key, and I woke up in my bed, sweating, shivering. The key was still in my hand. The phone rang. It was Lana, but her voice wasn't her own anymore. "Client on Fairchild Drive. Final test. Don't be late." Then static, then laughter. The call ended. I looked out the window. The fourth wall was back, but something stood just beyond the glass, watching. I turned the key over in my hand. It didn't fit any lock in my apartment, but something told me it would, eventually. Part 5. The house on Fairchild Drive. I drove without blinking. No map, no GPS, just a name in my head, Fairchild Drive. Every time I blinked, the road changed. Pavement gave way to cobblestone, then dirt, then something black and spongy that pulsed beneath the tires like it had a heartbeat. The sky grew dull, gray, hollow. The trees leaned toward the road like nosy neighbors who knew I didn't belong. Fairchild Drive wasn't a street. It was a gate. The air shimmered like heat haze. A sign with no text greeted me, swaying gently even though there was no wind. Then the house appeared. Large, Victorian, but warped, like it had been built by someone working from a memory that was already fading. The windows were all slightly wrong sizes. The steps curved where they should have been straight. The front door was too narrow for the frame, and yet it was beautiful, not in the traditional sense, but like a wound glowing under moonlight. Final test, the whisper reminded me. I stepped out of the car and felt the key in my pocket vibrate. It was eager, so was I. Inside, the house smelled like candle wax and wet stone. There were no lights, Only a soft glow from the chandelier above, a dozen bulbs shaped like eyes, all staring downward. I stood in the foyer waiting. Room by room, said the voice. Each one holds a version of you. Let's see which survive. Room 1, the child. A small bedroom. Posters of astronauts and dinosaurs. A desk covered in spelling worksheets and red ink. A boy sat on the floor, knees to his chest, breathing into his palms. It was me, but young. Maybe 10, maybe less. He didn't look up. He just whispered something over and over. She left. She left. She left. I reached out. His head jerked up, eyes black as oil. His mouth stretched wide, and in my voice he screamed, "You let her go." The room shook. The floor cracked. I turned and fled. Room 2, the liar. A conference table. Leather chairs. A PowerPoint paused mid-slide. A man in a suit stood at the head, gesturing with conviction. Also me. This version had confidence oozing from his pores. His smile was surgically perfect. He caught my gaze and grinned wider. "Remember this?" he said. "The pitch that landed 3 families in homes they couldn't afford? God, I was good." He stepped forward. "Do you want it back? The rhythm? The rush? The way they looked at you like you were divine?" I didn't answer. He handed me a business card. It was blank. "You're empty without us," he whispered, then vanished. The lights burst and I moved on. Room 3, the product. This room was cold, sterile. A white cube, no furniture. In the center, a mirror, and standing in front of it, no one. But when I stepped forward, I saw myself. No, not quite. This version was stripped down. No clothes, no eyes, just a body carved with sigils and barcodes. A tag hung from my neck. Property of the market. The reflection lifted its hand. So did I. It smiled without lips. So did I. And then it whispered, voice rattling glass. "The contract is signed in silence." The mirror cracked. A keyhole appeared in its center. I slid the warm key in. It turned. The door opened. Final room, the decision. A vast hall, carpeted in red, ceilings lost in shadow. At the far end, 2 podiums. One held a mirror, one held a ledger. In between stood them. Not shadows, not people. Something in between. Each shape wore a suit of skin like it had been borrowed. Ill-fitting, wrinkled. Their heads turned in unison. The central figure stepped forward, taller than the others. Its face constantly shifted, sometimes mine, sometimes Madeline's, sometimes unrecognizable. It spoke in 1,000 overlapping voices. "You've performed well, Tyler Haynes. You've delivered warmth, opened doors, collected signatures, spread the market. But one step remains." The figure gestured toward the mirror. Acceptance, then to the ledger. Rejection. If you choose the mirror, you will never age, never hunger, never doubt. You will speak and they will obey. You will sleep under warm floors and wake in palaces of breath. If you choose the ledger, the market will release you, but the cold will return. You will forget. You will shrink. One path leads to power, the other to silence. I stood between the two, heart pounding, hands sweating, and for the first time in months, I heard nothing. No whisper, no guidance, only choice. I looked at the mirror. My reflection was already smiling. I looked at the ledger. The pen was shaking slightly as if aware, and I remembered what Madeline said. They only choose for those who stop choosing for themselves. So I chose. I reached for the Part 6, the signature below. I reached for the ledger. My fingers shook. It was heavier than it looked. Leather bound, soft like worn skin. The pages were blank except for the one waiting open. There was a single line drawn across it. A place for a name. Mine. The pen beside it vibrated faintly, like it was humming, like it knew this would be the first name written there in decades. The silence in the hall deepened. The suited figures didn't move. They watched, unreadable, faceless and still. The one in the center tilted its head just slightly. "You choose silence?" it asked. I didn't answer. I picked up the pen. It burned. I wrote anyway. To Ler. The page shuddered beneath the ink as though something writhed underneath. Haines. The pen cracked in my hand. The moment the last letter dried, the hall shook. The walls bled black ink. The lights above flickered red, then green, then a color I didn't recognize and couldn't name. The market screamed. Rejection acknowledged, the thousand voices bellowed. Contract partially breached. Sentence, reclamation. I fell, straight down. The podium vanished. The floor beneath me collapsed like wet tissue paper. I dropped into a tunnel of screaming mirrors, each one flashing a different version of me, some monstrous, some hollow, some smiling too wide. And then, darkness. I awoke in a hospital. Fluorescent lights, blinking monitors, a beeping heart rate tracker that kept skipping every fifth beat. There was a nurse at my side. She smiled at me. Her badge said L. Rusk. Madeline? No, different eyes, but the same warmth. "Welcome back," she said softly. "You've been gone for 6 days. 6 days?" The room was sterile, too clean. Not a speck of dust or dirt. The windows didn't reflect. "Where am I?" I croaked. "St. Arcadius," she said. "You were found outside an abandoned development on Fairchild. Unconscious. No ID. No phone. Just..." She paused. "Just this." She reached into her pocket and pulled out the key. The key. Still warm. Still vibrating. I should have said something. I should have grabbed it and thrown it. Screamed. Run. Instead, I closed my hand around it and smiled. Over the following weeks, I tried to rebuild. No market. No whispers. Just me, a new apartment, and a job at a local bookstore. I sold paperbacks now. Mostly horror. People liked talking to me. Said I had a calming presence. Said I seemed like I understood. I didn't correct them. Not anymore. But sometimes, at night, I hear scratching behind the walls. Not rats. Not pipes. Writing. Names being etched. One. The mirrors fog over without steam. My reflection lags behind by a second and a half. And the key still opens things. Not doors though. Not physical ones. It opens memories, visions, moments I didn't live, but someone did. Brokers before me, after me. Versions of me in loops, selling warmth in cities that no longer exist. And then there's the room. It appeared 3 weeks ago. Wasn't part of the apartment before. No door leads to it, but it's always there in the morning. A study, desk, mirror, and a new ledger. Empty, fresh, with one pen, and a note. "You may have rejected the warmth, Tyler, but others seek it. You know how to find them. The market doesn't end. It evolves." Some nights I sit in that room. I stare at the page, and I wonder, if I don't fill this ledger, will someone else? Will Madeline? Will the little girl with stitched eyes? Or maybe Lana, who vanished the day after I chose? There's a knock at the door now. 3 soft taps. It's past midnight. I live alone. I don't open it. Not yet. Instead, I listen. The voice on the other side says, "Mr. Haynes, I heard you can help me. I'm so cold." Part 7, The Cold Caller. The knocking continued for 30 seconds. 3 soft taps. Then silence. Then again. Always 3. I didn't open the door. Not that night. Not the one after. But the voice stayed. Every night. Same tone. Same plea. Mr. Haynes, I heard you can help me. I'm so cold. I tried to ignore it. Stuffed towels under the door. Played white noise. Slept with the lights on. But you can't tune out a whisper meant for you. It follows the blood, not the ears. I started seeing flyers around town. Simple sheets of paper stuck to bus stops, lampposts, trees. Each one featured a house. Different styles. Different addresses. Same tagline. Need warmth? Call now. And beneath it, a number. I recognized the area code. Fairchild. I called it once. Just once. The line didn't ring. It breathed. For 7 seconds, all I heard was a rhythmic inhale. And then, how many can you house, Mr. Haynes? I hung up, but the warmth returned. Not inside me. Around me, the walls pulsed again. The mirror fogged without heat. And the study now had 2 chairs. I started getting visitors. Uninvited. Always at night. Always at the same time. Midnight. Some knocked. Some just appeared. Each one different. An old man with frostbitten ears and mismatched shoes. A teenage girl covered in goosebumps despite the summer heat. A woman cradling an invisible infant, sobbing as she whispered, "She's so cold inside." None of them asked for food, or money, or shelter. They all asked the same thing. "Can you warm us, Mr. Haynes?" I stopped sleeping. The ledger in the study now flipped its own pages. Each morning, a new blank line appeared. Each night, a new visitor filled it. Not with ink, with presence, as if just standing in the room signed something ancient. I tried to fight it. Really, I did. I burned one of the pages. The fire went blue, then black, then vanished. In its place, a feather. Perfect, warm, and still breathing. I mailed the ledger to another city. It came back the next day, inside my fridge, wrapped in butcher paper. I finally opened the door. It was the boy, no older than 12, skin pale, breath fogging the summer air. He held no suitcase, no ID, just a crumpled flyer and a look that said, "Please don't lie to me." I let him in. He said nothing, just sat in the second chair in the study, and smiled. The warmth returned that night, not as fire, not as heat, as acceptance. The market had changed, adapted. I hadn't reopened it. I'd become it. I see things now, even during the day. Shadows under people's feet that look like other people. Mouths that don't belong to faces. Strangers walking backwards in crowds, whispering addresses under their breath. Every home has value. Every life has weight. Every cold soul is a potential client. And I'm the broker again. But not of homes, of thresholds, of permissions. I don't sell properties anymore. I grant entry. One of the newer visitors was a real estate agent. Name tag still clipped to her blazer. She knocked at 12:03 a.m. No expression. Eyes red. She simply held up a blank contract and said, "We've been waiting for our territory transfer. Fairchild is ready to expand." I told her I wasn't part of it anymore, that I had signed out. She just smiled and replied, "You didn't sign out, Mr. Haynes. You signed over. There's a difference." Then she handed me a clipboard. On it, a list of names, all people I'd met. Lana, Brody, Madeline, my brother Sean, my mother, all listed as pending warmth allocation. I flipped the page. My own name appeared again. Beside it, a new title. Anchor Broker, Eastern Quadrant. I screamed. She disappeared. But the clipboard remained on the floor. dripping something warm. I sat in the mirror room that night, staring at my reflection. It smiled when I didn't. It blinked twice, one for me, one for him, and the whisper returned, "Come, Colt, final. The market is no longer a place you visit. It's what happens when you answer the knock." Part 8. Warmth upon arrival. It's been 7 months since I opened the first door. I don't remember what day of the week it is anymore. The clocks in my apartment stopped working a long time ago. Not because the batteries ran out, because time is no longer linear here. It bends, slips, doubles back. Like me, there are now 3 chairs in the study. The boy still sits in the second. The third is for visitors, not clients, not buyers, conduits. They arrive each night just past midnight, their breath fogging the walls, their eyes reflecting other places. They don't speak anymore. They don't need to. The market speaks through me. I no longer dream. I broadcast. When I sleep, I feel others sinking into walls, into crawl spaces, into reflection pools where no water runs. And each time someone gives up their last breath to the cold and begs for warmth, I feel it, like a transaction clearing. I asked once, "Who am I now?" The answer came from the mirror, in the form of my own voice. "You are not Tyler Haynes. You are not a man. You are the threshold, the heat between the walls, the breath between the bargain. You are a rival." Lately, I've started seeing my own flyers around town. They hang from dead trees, appear taped to bathroom stalls, slipped between the pages of dusty books in the library. Always the same phrase: "The warmth is ready. The broker will see you now." No phone number, just a location and a date. And when I go to that location, there's always someone waiting. Sometimes it's people I remember from before. Mrs. Banner, my old science teacher. A college friend I hadn't seen in over a decade. My brother. Each time they're colder. Each time they ask the same question: "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" The last time I left my apartment, the sun didn't follow me. I walked to the edge of town, just beyond the old water tower. There's a barn there now, wasn't before. Inside I found a long table and a gathering. 12 brokers, each one slightly wrong. One had no mouth. One had 3 faces. One sat in a chair that moved like an insect. They looked at me like I was a question that had already been answered. The one nearest me leaned forward. "Eastern Quadrant," it said. "Capacity breach imminent. Initiate decentralization." I nodded. I didn't understand, but I agreed, because agreeing is how it spreads. When I got home, the walls were bleeding ink again. The ledger in the study had filled itself. Every line, each name etched in a language I didn't recognize but somehow knew. And at the bottom, my new name, Warmth upon arrival. I tried to leave. I packed a bag, grabbed cash, even burned the flyers. But the city folded around me. No exits, no directions. Just cul-de-sacs and whispers and open house signs planted in asphalt. Every address leads back here. I'm not a prisoner. I am the foundation. One night, the boy finally spoke. He looked older, maybe 15 now. He pointed to the mirror. "It's time." I asked, "Time for what?" He answered with a smile too wide. "Your first expansion." That's when I saw it. A house inside the mirror. Not mine. Yours. I saw your living room. Your lights. Your shadow flickering in a way that didn't match your movements. And behind you, barely visible, was me. Smiling. Welcoming. You're reading this thinking it's just a story. That this is a creepypasta, a bit of fiction someone wrote for fun. But tell me, haven't you felt the cold lately? Just in the walls? Haven't you caught your reflection doing something your body didn't? Didn't you hear a knock last night? 3 soft taps? This is not a warning. It's an invitation. The market does not sell to everyone, only to those who are already cold, already drifting, already whispering in their sleep for something, anything, to hold on to. You found this story because you were looking for warmth. I'm telling you now, the broker will see you soon. There's already a chair in your study. You just haven't noticed it yet. But tonight, at midnight, you will.
And that was tonight's tale from the Shadowed Tales archive. If it left a mark on your mind, if the silence feels heavier now, then the story did what it was meant to do. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the darkness. New stories are always on their way. Until then, keep the lights low and the doors locked.